Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 40. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Janaballabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajakachaja Stotara Sata Shri Srimadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gora Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapura Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 40. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishtanamuchyate etar vimohayati esha jnanamavritta dehinam. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhyashtanamuchyate etar vimohayati esha jnanamavritta dehinam. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishtanamuchyate etar vimohayate esha jnanamavritta dehinam. Indriyani the senses, manaha, the mind, buddhi, the intelligence, asya, of the lust, adhishtanam, sitting place, uchyate, called, etai, by all these, vimohayati, bewilders, eshaha, of this, jnanam, knowledge, avritya, covered, dehinam, the embodied. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust, which veils the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Purport. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, and thus the mind is the reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification, and as a result the mind and the senses become the repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next-door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire false ego and identify itself with matter and thus with the mind and the senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyatma buddhi kunapi tridhatuke swadi kalatradishu boma ijjadi yatirtha buddhe shalile nakarichit janesu bigyesu saheva gokaraha. A human being who identifies this body made of the three elements with the self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth as worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to take bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered as an ass or a cow. Indriyani mano buddhir asya adhishtanam uchyate etair vimohayati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes a very famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Lord Krishna himself in the I think it's the 84th chapter of the 10th canto. At one time, there was a solar eclipse. Eclipses in India, in Vedic tradition, whether the sun eclipse or the moon eclipse, are considered to be inauspicious. So when the astrologers announced that at such and such a time there will be an eclipse, then Lord Krishna, with his queens, family members, soldiers, devotees, brahmanas, they all traveled from Dwarka to Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is a very famous place. It's considered to be a holy place. Indeed, in the very first verse of the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned, Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra, that Kurukshetra is a Dharmakshetra. Kshetra means field, and Dharma means the essential integral duty and quality of every living entity. Dharma means truth. So Kurukshetra became famous because Lord Parasuram was an empowered incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and with his Parashu means hatchet. Parashu, so it's called Parashuram, the Ram with the hatchet, to distinguish him from Lord Ramachandra, who is a bowman, Kodanda. So Parasuram, he was born in a Brahmin family, but he was a great warrior, and he attacked the ruling class, the Kshatriya, the warrior class, the kingly class, who were not performing their duties according to the instructions of the Vedas. So he attacked them, and he fought them, and he killed 21 generations. And from the blood of one battle fighting these Kshatriyas, he killed so many of them that their blood became like a river. And out of this blood he made several lakes, I think 5 lakes, at a place called Kurukshetra. So from time immemorial, this Kurukshetra is a holy place, and pious Hindus, whenever there is an eclipse, it is one of the places they go. Also in the Ganges, for example, before Lord Chaitanya was born, just on the night he appeared at moonrise, Chandra Udaya, the rising moon. So before he took his birth, there was an eclipse of the moon, and all the inhabitants of Navadip and Bengal, they went and bathed in the Ganges, and they were chanting the holy name. So it is nicely described that before Lord Chaitanya came, he induced everyone to chant the holy name of Krishna. So 5,000 years ago, during Krishna's presence, Lord Krishna, knowing that there would be an eclipse, went to Kurukshetra. And at Kurukshetra, during the eclipse of the sun, they took the bath. Knowing that Lord Krishna and Balaram were coming to Kurukshetra, many sages came, both from the earthly planet and from the heavenly planets. Many sages came to have darshan of the Lord. When Krishna was present, not very many people understood that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the great sages, they knew, because they are conversant with Vedic knowledge. So the great sages, headed by Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, the 4 Kumaras, Asita, Devala, all the great sages, many of them came to Kurukshetra and paid their respects to Lord Krishna. So when the sages came to Kurukshetra, the Yadu kings, they welcomed the sages. They sat them in a very comfortable seat. They washed their feet, took the water upon their head, presented them with different welcoming paraphernalia, achaman, madhuparka, fruits, vegetables, and in this way they made the sages very comfortable. And then Krishna began to speak. And he spoke not only to the sages, but to all his kinsmen that were there from Dwarka, all the Yadus. Not only the Yadus, also the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, Radharani, the Gopis, Krishna's friends, the Shakas, they all also came to Kurukshetra. So Krishna addressed all of them and pointed out that we are so fortunate that these great sages have come here. Because the great sages have the power to awaken our dormant spiritual consciousness. He pointed out that one can bathe in the Ganges of the Jamuna, one can go to different holy places, one can give in charity to the Brahmanas, one can perform sacrifices, but all these activities are purifying, of course, the soul. They are purifying the ignorance, the darkness of ignorance, but they do so gradually. little by little. But the sages, Krishna said, just by seeing them, one becomes completely purified. That is the power. Narottam Das, he wrote a very beautiful song. Hey Baro Karuna Koro Vaishnava Goshai. He wrote a song in glorification of the renounced Vaishnava. Vaishnava Goshai. Goshai means one who can control his senses. Vacha Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam. One who can control his Vacha, his words. Manasa, his mind. Krodha is anger. Jiva Vegam is tongue. Udara Upashta, his stomach and his genitals. He becomes a Goshai. So Vacha Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Upashta Vegam, Etan Veganyo Vishaheta Dhiras Sarvam Apivam Prithivim Sasishyat. One who can control the 6 urges perfectly, he is able to make disciples all over the world. That is the standard to become a teacher or to become a guru. That you can control yourself. So Narottam, he praised the Vaishnava Goshai. E Boro Karuna Koro. You can give so much mercy. Boro Karuna, great mercy. Vaishnava Goshai. Patita Pavana Jaha Kabe Kenonai. No one is more merciful than you are. Jahara Nikate Gele Papa Dure Gai. Anyone who can see you, just by your darshan, just by seeing you, your offenses, your sinful activities are removed. So, Lord Krishna glorified the sages, and then he spoke this verse, which Prabhupada quotes in the purport. Yasatma buddhir kunape tridhatu ke swadi kalatradisho bhoma ijjadi tat yatirtha buddhi shalilena karichit janeshu abhigeshu saheva gokaraha. So Yasyatma buddhi, Krishna explained that someone who is identifying with the body. Atma means soul, but Atma means body also in this connection. So one whose intelligence is absorbed in identifying with the body, who thinks that I am a man, I am a woman, I am old, I am young, and who lives his life to satisfy the senses of the body. This is called Atma Buddhi. So Yasyatma Buddhi Kunape Tridhatuke. Kunape means bag, and Tridhatuke or the elements of the material body. Vayu, Pitta, and Kapha. Fire, mucus, and film. These are the 3 elements which work within our body. So this body, Krishna says, which is a bag of these elements, one who identifies with this bag, Kalatra Dishu, one who thinks Kalatra Adishu. Kalatra means wife, and Adishu means beginning with. So first wife, then home, then children, then maintenance, land, animals. So this is called Kalatra Adishu, beginning with the wife. Bhoma Ijjadi, who thinks that the land of birth, Bhoma, Ijjadi, it is respectful, who worships his land. We see now that the world is in so much trouble, people are being killed, there is fighting. Why? Because people identify, oh, I'm Russian, oh, I'm American, oh, I'm Ukrainian, oh, I am this, oh, I am that. This is called Bhoma Ijjadi. Then Krishna says, so he's describing this kind of person who thinks he's the body, who identifies with his wife and family, who thinks his land is worshipable, this nationalism, this glorifying the national flag, the national hymns, all bogus. Krishna is pointing out of these people. And Yatirtha Buddhi, then one who goes to the holy places, Yastirtha Buddhi Shalile. Shalile means to take bath. One who goes to the holy place to take bath, but na karichit does not, janeshu abhigyesu, does not go to the holy places to get instructed in spiritual life by the sages and saints living there. Many people, they go to the holy places, they take bath, they follow the rituals, but they don't really want to hear about detachment, about renunciation, about engaging in the service of Krishna. So Krishna says, people who think like that are no better than a cow or an ass. Saheva go karaha. Go means cow, and karaha means an ass. That means if you identify with the body, if you think this material world is your place, you will remain in the material world. It is really up to you. But if you examine the situation, actually, there is nothing but Krishna. There is nothing that is yours. There is nothing for you to identify with. It is simply illusion. Suppose I come into your house and I take control of your house. I push you aside and I start working in the kitchen, working in the bathroom, in the bedroom, and move things around the house without considering you. You feel very insulted. You think this is a crazy fellow. What is this fellow coming into my house and taking over? In the same way, we are born with nothing, zero. Nothing. We bring nothing to this world. And we leave with nothing. But we use so many facilities which we did not create, which do not control. So isn't it madness to identify with these things? Just like the madman who goes into somebody's house and takes over the menagerie. So madness. Everything that is created, everything that is here, the earth, the sky, bhumi apunalo vayu, earth, water, fire, air, mano buddhir, evacha, mind, intelligence, ahankara, maityam me, binna prakriti ashtara. Krishna says these 8 elements are my separated energy. Then he continues, apareya mitastu anyam prakritim vidyame param. Beyond these 8 material elements, there is a higher element, apareyam, which is greater. Jiva bhutam mahabahoma. Dear Arjuna, great fighter, understand that there is the jiva, the supreme soul, the soul within the heart, sitting next to the super soul. Jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. And by his activity, he is maintaining the whole universe. In other words, the universal creation, everything we see, the material energy, the sky, the land, the seas, the mountains, it is all created by our desire. Krishna knows our desire and is creating the facility. Just like the parents, the father, he creates a playroom for his small children. As soon as a baby begins to crawl, then the father puts a little structure so the child cannot harm himself, but he has his room to play. The child doesn't understand that this facility is being created by his father, and it is for his own enjoyment, but it is controlled by the father. In the same way, materialistic people, they don't realize that by their desire, this universe is taking place. By their desire, Krishna has created, because he is very kind, because he loves us, and because we have the desire to be independent, then Krishna gives us a facility. Now you might say, good, thank you Krishna, I'm happy being independent. But Krishna says, yes, you may be happy, but that happiness is short-lived. Anityam asukam lokam, Krishna says. Anityam ashukam lokam imam prapsya bhajasmamam. One who understands me becomes free from this anityam, this temporary, asukam, miserable loka, place. This is the nature of the material world. The material world is called Durga. Durga, difficult to go. Dur means difficult, Ga means to go. Durga, it is a prison house. No prisoner can expect to be happy in prison. The whole idea of prison is to change the character of the prisoner, to change his criminal character, to become a law-abiding citizen. So the same idea of the material creation is to make us law-abiding citizens. What is a law-abiding citizen? One who follows the rule of God, the law of God. Religion means to follow the law of God. Sanity means to follow the law of God. So Krishna spoke this wonderful verse, and the sages, they were thunderstruck. They were amazed. How is it possible? How is it possible that in such a few words, Krishna has encapsulated the whole problem? Just in 4 lines. That is because Krishna is Sat Chit Ananda. He is eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge. He never forgets what is the reality and what is it. He never enters into illusion. We forget. We are prone to go into illusion. In the 5th chapter of the Gita, Krishna says, Yehi samparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. He certainly understand this samparshaja, this skin touching of the skin, the senses touching each other, ja, coming, being born, dukkha yonaya evache. It is the yoni, it is the birth, it is the birthplace of dukkha, of distress. Adi antavanta konteya, nate shuramante Buddha. One who is Buddha, one who is intelligent, nate shuramante, he doesn't take joy in this temporary situation of the material world. On Wednesday, 2 days ago, I explained that even as a young teenage boy, I could see that my peers and their fathers in my city, they weren't really happy. And ultimately, I used to think, what is the point? Even if I become materially successful, even if I go and get a higher education, get a good job, or start a business, become successful materially, in the end, I have to leave it all behind. What is the point? It's like saying, okay, you can come here in Amsterdam, we have a place called the Holland Casino. Very popular. Many people go there and gamble until 2, 3 in the morning. There is always a line waiting outside. No shortage of customers. And they go there and they place their bets and they win and go home with the money or they lose. But if the casino said, my dear customers, you're welcome to come, you're welcome to gamble your money, but the rule is whatever you win has to stay here. You cannot take it with you. How many clients do you think they're going to get? How many customers will go there? Nobody. But this is the material world. We are gambling our way. We are gambling our inner nature. We are gambling the possibility of becoming eternally happy, and we're getting nothing back because everything we create will become destroyed. So, this is it. There's no other way of putting it. There is only Krishna. We come with nothing, we live with nothing, everything else belongs to somebody else. And Krishna claims it belongs to him. Matta paratara nanyat. He said, there is nothing higher than me. He says, everything is coming from me. And this is the reality. Once we understand this reality, we can actually take advantage of Krishna's instruction, and we can reverse. We can reverse our cycle, our continuing cycle of birth and death. and actually go back home, back to Godhead. It's not difficult to go back home, back to Godhead. All you have to do is understand Krishna. All you have to say, Krishna, whatever happened, happened. Whatever mistakes are made. Whatever sinful activities have accrued, I own them, they're all mine, this is all my luggage, but I'm coming to you. Please help me. Just like a prodigal son. He is left home, is in difficult trouble. When he goes back to his father forgives him and he takes care of him. Once you making the connection with Krishna is very easy, because that connection is eternal. It's just like a child, a boy, he may leave his home for 20, 30 years, but when he comes back, his relationship with his father and mother is already there. He doesn't have to wait another 10 years to develop the relationship. It is part and parcel of who he is. So part and parcel of who we are is that Krishna is a Supreme Father. Simply wake up to that. Understand that Krishna is a Supreme Father, that he comes to the material world to help us, to instruct us, and that his birth and activities are spiritual. If you understand that, then Tyakta deham punarjamanaiti. When you leave this body, you do not have to take another birth. Guaranteed. Prabhupada guaranteed. He promised us, if you follow the principles, if you chant the name of Krishna, if you accept my instruction, I guarantee you will go back home, back to Godhead. And believe me, the devotee's guarantee is more powerful even than Krishna's guarantee. Because Krishna says, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. Declare it boldly, Arjuna, my devotee never perishes. Sometimes Krishna, he breaks his promise, but his devotee's promise is never broken. Thank you very much. So, we have some comments. Mendi Prior, Hare Krishna, good evening. Axel, our friend. Atmavidya, who I'm very thankful is still with us, even though he hates Facebook with a passion, and I agree with him. But because we are hosting this class, he is making an exception. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Anna Maria, Hare Krishna, obeisances, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Premavati Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna Prabhu, and attending devotee, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have any more comments, please post, and we'll see you again next week on Wednesday. Anna Maria comments, it was a convincing argument about the casino. Thanks. Thank you very much. Haribo, you thank me, thank Krishna. Whatever I say is inspired by Krishna. There's one thing, I don't have a lot of devotion, but one thing, I pray to Krishna before I give class. I have my deities here. I say, please Krishna, let me speak nicely. That's it. Because whatever I'm saying is coming from Krishna. Nothing to do with me. Haribo.